All right, today we're going to be talking all about Freeport, Bahamas in this video. I recently went to Freeport in May 2024 when I was sailing with the MSC Magnifica, and I'm going to tell you all about whether you should get off the ship and whether you should even choose a cruise itinerary that stops at Freeport. I'll be telling you about my experience going to Taino Beach with a private taxi group and whether I enjoyed the experience, whether I would cruise back to Freeport, and if I did choose a cruise itinerary with Freeport on it, whether I would get off the ship or not when we stop there. Let's get into it. Now, whether you're new to cruising or you've been cruising for a long time, you're probably very familiar with Freeport as it's one of the most common destinations while sailing in the Caribbean or the Bahamas. It is the most popular destination only behind Nassau. So there's a bit of confusion around what this port is actually called. Freeport is most commonly referred to as Freeport, but I've seen that Carnival-owned cruise lines will refer to it as Grand Bahama Islands sometimes as their stop. So the port of Freeport is in the country, the nation of the Bahamas. It is on the island of Grand Bahama, and it is on the city of Freeport, and the city of Freeport takes up the entire island of Grand Bahama Island. The reason that Freeport doesn't have a very good reputation is because it is a very industrial port, especially where the cruise ship docks. It is not very pretty when you pull in, and there's not much to do around the port. There's no beach within walking distance, there's no activities within walking distance. So if you really want to do anything on the island of Freeport, you have to go out and do an excursion, either with your ship or with a taxi or a private excursion group on the island. This is the view from my balcony when my ship was pulling into Freeport in the morning when the MSC Magnifica was arriving in Freeport, and at first I was blown away. And then we got to the actual port. Like I said, it's very industrial, it's not impressive, and there's very little to do. You'll see long queues for taxis and other services to get you away from the port when you get off the ship. Disembarking from the MSC Magnifica was a total breeze. It was very, very easy. I just had to show my cruise card, and it was as simple as could be. The employees are very helpful and very kind. I always recommend being very, very nice to the employees. I always love seeing the ship up close. I think it's a really cool thing, and I'm always so impressed that these big old ships can float on the ocean. You can see here that we were leaving the secure area and that you need a photo ID and your boarding card to leave the secure area. So I was told that I could bring a driver's license or a passport. I opted for my passport, but I saw a lot of people just bringing their American driver's license. Immediately outside of the secure area, there are some shops that I was mentioning earlier. There is a Starbucks, there are a few gift shops, there is some just generic, sweatshirts, hoodies, magnets for your fridge, some dresses, it's all branded with Bahamian, Freeport. I lost my mind in Freeport stuff. We did see our neighbor, the Margaritaville Paradise ship. This is before the Islanders set sail, so this is the original Margaritaville at sea ship. She was interesting to see. It was the first Margaritaville at sea ship I've seen, and we'll see more of her as the day goes on in this review. As I was doing my research and Googling the best things to do in Freeport, I did look at my cruise offerings, excursions, and there wasn't much that interested me. There was a mangrove tour, and that was 6 hours long, and I knew I didn't want to be away from the ship for that long. So I decided that I would do something called going to Taino Beach. That was the #1 rated thing on TripAdvisor for Freeport, Bahamas. I started just walking around the touristy area where people were congregating. I saw a huge line for taxis, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm never gonna find a taxi. It was about 500 people deep. And then I saw this man who looked official, and I said, hi, do you know how to get to Taino Beach? And he said in a Bahamian accent, oh, I need one more person for my taxi van, let's go. And I thought, okay. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna be murdered, but I started following this random man and this random group of people. And I kept saying, we're going to Taino Beach, right? We're going to Taino Beach, right? These people seemed nice, and it was a mix of people from the Margaritaville at Sea and the MSC Magnifica that I was on. This is me looking pretty scared in my twins cap. I took a picture of the license plate because I was not sure if I was gonna return, but I did get in the vehicle. It was $20 round trip per person. I thought that was fair. It was pretty interesting driving through town. A lot of the town was pretty disturbed by hurricanes. A lot of the buildings were destroyed. So let's talk about Taino Beach. He said that's where he takes all of the tourists from cruise ships. It seemed like it was a well-oiled machine. It was an official taxi service for the island. There is a $16 entry fee to enter Pirates Cove. I knew from my internet research there is a free entrance to Taino Beach just a few feet away from Pirates Cove. Now, he was very insistent that I enter Pirates Cove, and he was kind of even watching everyone before he pulled away. So I just kind of played along, waited for everyone else to pay their entry fee, and then waited for him to leave, and then I walked over to the free entrance about 500 feet away and went onto the beach, because one thing I'm not going to do is pay $16 just to access the beach. I will happily support the local economy, but I will not pay just to walk along the beach. If you're like me and you feel similarly, I am gonna walk you through how to enter Taino Beach for free from Pirates Cove, the Ritz Beach Resort, the Bernie's Tiki Hut area, and a few other places. So this is Pirates Cove. It's kind of near a huge parking lot. It's the Taino Beach official parking lot area. You can put that into Google Maps, and it's not too hard to figure out where you are. That's $16 to enter. You do not get anything else. You don't get drinks. You do get a lounge share, but you don't get anything else. There are massages, there's food, there's other things. All of that comes at an extra cost. There's also banana boats, jet skis, and a boat tour that they offered starting at Pirates Cove, and those were about $20 to $50 per person, and you had to pay the $16 fee to start to get access to be able to reserve those other things. So then what you want to do is walk 3 minutes away towards the road that you came down on that took you in from the main road towards the parking lot area. And then you don't even have to go back to the main road. It's literally 3 minutes. You're still in the parking lot area. And then you just have to look on your right towards the beach, and then you're gonna see a little entrance. Is like a little chain like wire fence, and then there's the Ritz Beach restaurant on the other side, and then that is the free entrance to the beach. And then here is a photo of what it looks like, and then I'm gonna blow that up for you guys so you can really see how it looks so you don't miss it. And yeah, that's how you enter Taino Beach for free. Now, Taino Beach is the best beach to go to in Freeport. That is the easiest to get to. I would recommend Gold Rock Beach if you can rent a car, or if you have extra time on the island or something like that. But if you're coming on a cruise ship, you obviously don't. I didn't love Taino Beach, honestly. It wasn't the best experience. It just was a bit dirty. The water wasn't very clear. There was a lot of reef and sea moss and seaweed on the ground. And it was great to see that the reef was in good condition and that the sea life was in good condition. I loved seeing that. But as a swimmer and someone who enjoys the ocean, it's not the best place to swim. And so I can't say that I really recommend it if you're wanting to swim. The sand was just okay. It was kind of yellow, kind of white, Bahamian sand, but it wasn't really the classic beautiful sand that you see. There's a few restaurants there. There's Bernie's Tiki Hut, which I would recommend. It's $5 strong drinks. I'm not a drinker. I heard that from other people, but I met Bernie. She's a sweetheart. There was a hair braider there. I rented a $10 beach chair. I told you I was gonna contribute to the local economy. I'm just not gonna be forced to pay $16. It was a beautiful vista. I can't say it wasn't. I also saw this, what I think is a rock lobster. If you guys know in the comments, or if you know, tell me in the comments down below, because it's a really hot day and I was getting sunburnt, and it was only about 2:30 p.m., but I was so ready to go back to the ship. And I made it back to my balcony room, took a shower, and I just plopped down to bed when it was about 3:30, and the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise decided to wave goodbye to us. Let's watch. Jolted out of bed to record it, so I just got the tail end of its big ol' horn going, but I thought that was pretty cool. My balcony was, I can't remember if it was port side or starboard, but it was on the side that looks into the ocean, not the side that was looking into the port. So I got to see all of the industrial happenings going on, and I found it quite interesting. It was interesting to see all of the MSC stuff happening, and they really obviously have a stranglehold on the shipping container business, and it was quite fascinating to me. There was even a huge container ship being pulled by a tiny little tugboat. So overall, I did not like Freeport. I would give it 1 out of 5 faces. So no, I would not recommend it. I would not recommend getting off the ship for more than an hour. Now, I say that because I think you should always get off the ship in a port you haven't been to. If this is your first time going to Freeport and you're already on a cruise with Freeport in your itinerary, get off, explore the little shopping area, see what you can see, you know, just check it off your list and get back on the ship and say that you've done it. But I don't think it's worth going to Taino Beach on, you know, the hour round trip it's going to take you, because it is a half-hour drive from the cruise ship just to get to Taino Beach, and then it's a half-hour back. Now, there is one caveat I want to say. I'm talking about all of this from a cruiser's perspective, from a tourist perspective. Freeport, Grand Bahama Island, any location is someone's home. Freeport is probably dear to many, many people who have called this island their home for many generations. I don't want to offend anyone out there. I think that Freeport has a lot to offer from a human perspective. Or if you do have a cruise to Freeport, please don't let this scare you off from it. My first ever cruise went to Freeport and to Nassau. Those are 2 of the least recommended cruise itinerary stops of all time, and I still had an amazing cruise. So please don't let this video scare you. I think you're gonna have an amazing time no matter where you go, because like the saying goes, a cruise to anywhere is better than not being on a cruise at all. Thank you, and I hope to see you on my next video. Bye-bye.